got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Parastatals have also been affected by this fluctuating electricity supply. Now, there's something that most discuss, whether it's the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company or the Echo Electricity Distribution Company. There's something they've always complained about, which is funding. So today we're going to be talking about electricity distribution companies and funding and the challenges that they face and suggestions on how they can be funded. Now, the reason is because recently President Tinubu ordered that electricity bills owed by government agencies should be cleared, and it was also in the news that federal government ministries, different ministries were actually owing PHCN and other discos millions of naira in bills. So is it possible for such energy companies such as Echo Electricity Distribution Company, Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, for them to be listed on the Nigerian Exchange Group? So we're going to be discussing this with our in-house stockbroker consultants after the break. So do stay tuned.
In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to SOUQ News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, SOUQ News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. SOUQ News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, SOUQ News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. SOUQ News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
Welcome back. So before the break, I talked about Nigeria's electricity distribution companies, the challenges they face with funding, and the issues that have also come up from this, and then the issue of big ministries like government-owned corporations and government parastatals owing these electricity distribution companies certain amounts of money because they have unpaid bills running into millions of naira. And because of these events, we have situations where these electricity companies have complained of they can't afford to buy new meters for their customers, or they can't afford to buy new transformers for communities in the event that they need these things. So on today's show, I'll be talking with my guests about ways that electricity discos can actually be funded, and if it's possible for these companies to actually get funding from the Nigerian Exchange Group, or they can also be listed on the Nigerian Exchange Group. But before we dive right into that, let me introduce my guest, Mr. Charles Fakora. So he's our in-house consultant, and he's also, like I always say, chartered stockbroker with over 20 years experience in the banking and financial services industry. So welcome to Market Insights, Mr. Charles Fakora.
Thank you very much. It's nice.
Okay, I'm glad you're here today.
Been on a Wednesday and
today's
very bright.
Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, on a Thursday morning very bright, you know.
Yes.
Roads were free. Of course, I came through the train, and it's a wonderful experience. Well, kudos to Lagos State government for that train to be working. Yes, we are talking on.
Okay, before we dive right into how to fund our electricity disco companies, because we're talking about energy today on Market Insight, let's start from how the stock market is faring from Monday to Wednesday this week. I know today is Thursday, but how has the market fared this week?
Okay, yes. Like I have said, the market is very dynamic, and we started the week in a negative note. The market closed in a negative territory, but that does not mean that the companies were not doing so well. But also on that Monday, just permit me to also mention that we had what I'll call a special mock trading session on the trading floor. That's on the 8th floor of the NGX group, where a former past president died, and we needed to honor him. And we did, we went back history to demonstrate where we're coming from in terms of trading. And we did what they call the call-over system, open outcry. And most people now thought that that is how we actually trade. No, but this was before computers came in and all that. But today, you know, it's screen-based. Everybody is looking at their screen.
Everything is digitalized,
now. And like I tell my trainees, I said, everybody is praying to that machine. You know, so there is no woman, there is no man. You all pray and you send your orders to that machine. And of course, the machine, the market will allocate or allot as the case may be. So it was a wonderful experience. And for some of our younger colleagues who have not seen that method of trading before, they were really, you know, happy. And for us, it was kind of saying, it's better to know where you are coming from. So that was what happened on Monday. So on Tuesday, the market was also down again. Then yesterday, the market was down about 0.28%. But the all-share index is still above the 100,000 mark. Volume for yesterday was over 298 million units, where you also valued at 6.8 billion naira. Some of the gainers, as I said yesterday, were Computer Warehouse Group, who did 10% to close at 6 naira 5 kobo. We also had NEM, an insurance firm, who also had 10% increase to close at 8 naira 80 kobo. We also have Julie Pharmacy making the list of top 5 gainers. That's yesterday. Of course, you know that Julie Pharmacy, it's in the pharmaceutical industry. Gained almost 10% to 9.98 to close at 6 naira 50 kobo. We also had International Energy. Then Thomas Waite. These are the companies that gained as at yesterday, while the Global Money Week was going on. Then for the losers, I normally call them laggards. Yes, you have NCL Tech losing 10%, TIP losing 10%. Then of course, First Bank Holding lost 9.99% to close at 39 naira 60 kobo. You recall, as at Monday, First Bank was above 40 naira. So you can see the dynamics of
just
the market.
within a few days, they've actually gone down to the bottom of the chart as one of the
well, that is for that yesterday. It lost almost 10% and the price came down. Then we also had Vitafoam, of course. If you recall, Vitafoam has also paid some dividend to shareholders, but again, you can see the price was down after that yesterday. So like I said, frequent buying and selling, prices will go up and come down. It has nothing really to do with the performance of the company. It's just demand and supply. So we also have Beja Paints on that losers table, losing 9.8% to close at 15 naira 65 kobo. So that's just the major highlight as at what happened yesterday. But some of this, we are seeing the market in the bearish trend. One, you could say people are rebalancing their portfolio and trying to go and invest in other assets like the federal government bond, treasury bill, which we have seen rates above 20% now. So investors are just rebalancing. And of course, for me, it's still a mixed trade because we still have today and tomorrow. We might see whether the tide will turn. We'll see the market closing in the positive.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Charles Fakura. So, yes, as we also know, this week from Monday 18th March to 22nd March, Friday 22nd March, is the celebration of the Global Money Week with the theme Protect Your Money, Secure Your Future. And yesterday, yes, yours truly, I was at the Nigerian Exchange Group to actually cover the event they had on the trading floor. So school students from primary schools and secondary schools in different parts of Lagos Island were invited to the exchange floor to actually witness what trading looks like on the exchange floor and what it takes to invest in stocks and other bonds. So it was quite a very memorable event, as children were actually shown grounds at which they can invest in their stocks, not just saving money all the time in banks, but how to actually get money that can be yielded for future use. And you can start right now that you're still in secondary school. They don't have to wait to become adults for this to be done. So I spoke to a few students during the event also. Apart from, yes, as we can see on the screen, we have some representatives there speaking to the students on what it takes to be a trader on the stock market. And then I just discovered that there was a song that stockbrokers normally sing for events like this, and it was quite interesting to watch them. So you can watch some highlights of this event.
Very educational. I think the children learned a lot. They learned how to be disciplined about saving. They learned how to invest, the right places where they could invest their money for their future. So it did. I think the theme resonated with how, they should instill the discipline of saving and investing, which was very good. I liked it.
The theme of this Global Roaming Week was protect your money, secure your future. I learned a lot of stuff. I learned about opportunity cost, demand and supply, investments. I learned about how saving can help you, how investing your money can get you more money in the future. I mean, there are many things I can apply into the future when I grow up. I learned about the world, like the financial world, everything, and I really feel impacted, and I know that I can use this information to help me in the future.
I learned that we should invest early so that our money grows in value instead of just keeping the money with us, because if we keep the money with us, as years go on, then the value of our money will go down.
And it's interesting that we brought all the children that we have had to visit at various times to take on several lectures, sessions on how to start investing at this very little age so that it becomes part of them. And then when they grow up, funds that they would have taken for granted at this time are properly saved and invested and available for use, by the time they grow up. So it's interesting to bring everybody out today to celebrate the Global Money Week.
Okay, so those were some highlights from my visit to the Nigerian Exchange Group to mark the Global Money Week celebration, and it was quite an interesting event, actually seeing children from different ages. I even saw a child as young as 3 years old, but she seemed really excited to be there, actually, even though she wasn't too familiar with what was really going on at the stock exchange floor. Anyway, she was just happy to be there with her friends and her teachers anyway. So, Mr. Charles, so what do you have to say about yesterday's event on the Nigerian Exchange Group, at the Nigerian Exchange Group?
The Global Money Week is an annual celebration, and the aim is to create that awareness, in terms of catching children young, for them to understand the basis of finance. And not just understanding it, they have to how to acquire the knowledge of finance, the knowledge, the skill, and also the attitude and behavior towards money. So at that early stage, if they're able to get it right, you have a good behavior towards money. Then when you grow up as an adult, then you become responsible when it comes to financial matters. And you'll be able to take financial decisions that will improve your financial well-being and at the same time, your financial resilience. So that is just basically the essence of the Global Money Week. I mean, it started from Monday, and of course, it's going to end on Sunday, 24th.
Oh, yes, on Sunday,
And as at, I think on Monday, I had to join the webinar live, in Paris, from Nigeria here, and a lot of things were discussed, talking about financial scam, how children can understand it now, and of course, when you are doing online shopping, the things to look out for so that you will not be taken advantage by scammers. So I think there is a lot for the Nigerian child to learn, not even children, even adults, to learn about their personal finance and see how they can improve on it.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, you know, when I saw that theme, protect your money, secure your future, I was actually wondering, why did they choose that theme? But just before we move on to our next discussion, I still want to talk further about the Global Money Week. Now, I can see why they were exposing children at a very early age to these finances, because, I mean, growing up, I don't think most adults were actually exposed to financial, how to save smartly, how to invest your money wisely. We're not. So exposing them at this young age, and the fact that they could learn a lot of, like the few students that I spoke to, they were really excited about it, and they are ready. I'm sure when they get home, they'll definitely tell their parents about investing in stocks and bonds and other dividends at this age. They don't have to wait when they become adults. So this is quite a very good initiative from the Nigerian Exchange Group, and I know it's all to celebrate the Global Money Week and create more awareness for children, especially because I feel that the target was actually children.
Yes,
mostly
for children, yes.
Yeah, so okay, thank you so much for that. Yes, so like I mentioned earlier on, today we're going to be talking about energy, and our focus is on electricity distribution in Nigeria, the funding challenges that these discos have to go through actually. So I mentioned earlier on, if it's possible for these electricity distribution companies like ECO Electricity Distribution Company, Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, if it's possible for them to be listed on Nigerian Stock Exchange and for people to actually invest, buy shares, because there's been the issue of funding for quite some time. And in addition, they keep complaining that corporations and government ministries are owing them huge amounts in running into millions of naira because of unpaid bills. So this has been going on for quite some time, even though the president has ordered for these unpaid bills to be cleared, but it's still not enough for them. They need adequate money to be able to be funded. So I guess the fact that we pay our prepaid meters every now and then when the units run out, we have to refill. I think some people are not affected by this, because for them to be owing these electricity distribution companies running into millions of naira, I don't think they're affected by this situation. So, okay, before I ask you questions on this, Charles, well, what are your thoughts about this situation with the electricity distribution companies in Nigeria, considering funding and how it's a major challenge for them?
Yes, thank you very much, Lovina. You can see that there is a lot of, will I say, illiteracy in terms of energy consumption in the country. Among those who used to shout, advocate, and even blame the discos, But as at that time, I was saying, let them come out and explain the challenges they are going through in terms of even how this power is being generated, how it's being transmitted, and how they now get this power and now distribute. And after distribution, how are they getting the amount of money they are collecting? Yes. Because it's painful. They will tell us that the Gencos, there's this one who generates now, they will tell us they generate so much, and that Nigeria has the capacity of generating 12,500 megawatts. And all we keep hearing is 3,000 megawatts. And that 3,000 megawatts is not even enough. There is this issue of energy theft. And I was wondering, I said, so we have oil theft, there is also energy theft. Because there are actually some people who don't even pay for the electricity they have consumed.
So that's the energy theft.
That's the energy theft, okay? And without metering, there is nowhere you can tell me how much amount of electricity I have consumed. So looking at the issue holistically, I also did my own research. Because first of all, one would think maybe it's incompetence on the part of the operators, maybe the Gencos. The Gencos will tell us they generate enough. In fact, I will tell you something. Yeah. Some of the generating companies that have come to the market, yes. We have Transcorp Power.
Yes, recently.
We have Keregu, we have AFAP, EGBI, we also have Hydro. Now, they tell us they generate enough and that they even export. In fact, it's even on record that we export electricity to Niger and some other countries.
Yes.
Then how come we cannot have steady electricity, let's say in a commercial city like Lagos, for complete 6 hours uninterrupted. It's not possible.
It's not.
So I was saying, is it that the engineers are not doing their work, or the equipment are obsolete? Until these operators need to come and explain what happened in that distribution chain, from the generation to the transmission to the distribution and of course to the consumption. But over the years, government has spent so much money. Like this one they call intervention from CBN. So many want to support them to get meters for their consumers, and at the end of the day, in fact, we've even seen that federal government has, in fact, when they even come up that they're even subsidizing electricity,
yes,
it became a problem again. And when I looked at the issues critically, I saw that the discourse will say, okay, looking at their books, analyzing it, this is what they will get as revenue. This is what they will get. Now, even their profit. The government will now say, okay, charging this particular tariff, because some of these tariffs are not cost reflective. Government has to come in and support that. The average man on the street is not even aware of that. All he wants to see is let him have power and run his barbing salon. Let him have power to run his factory. Yes. But again, they are now telling us that you just have to make electricity available. So those persons who need electricity very well, the high net worth individuals, they are supposed to pay more, so that what they have paid more cannot be used to compensate for the average Nigerian that cannot pay, because there are some Nigerians that cannot pay for this electricity.
Yes, in spite of the fact that it's subsidized.
Yes, they cannot pay for it. And you cannot leave those people. You must find a way to see that they get this electricity. So, and that's the issue. You cannot say government spent over almost 6 trillion for 10 years. Between 2015 and 2023, over 6 trillion for electricity subsidy, and yet we're not seeing anything. Just only in January to February, the government has spent almost 2 trillion on electricity subsidy. So for me, I think it's an issue where government should declare a state of emergency in the power sector and let all the stakeholders come and let's see how this can be done. Because without electricity, we cannot develop.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Charles. So let's take a short break right now. When we get back, we're still going to discuss further with Charles Fakura. Stay tuned.
Sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to SOUQ News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, SOUQ News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. SOUQ News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, SOUQ News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. SOUQ News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions. We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
My name is Veronica Nkechi Eze.
Charles Abana. My name is Professor Martins Emeje.
Professor Sylvester Odion Akaine.
Keep watching
SOUQ News TV.
The best news channel online.
It's elevating, it's enlightening, it's educating.
Muhammad Ali found this truth in Africa. Rumble in the jungle. I swear the king is humble. Jesse Jackson, O.J. Simpson, this is Black History. Andrew Young visit Africa in the late 60s. Legend, Bob Marley make the light different. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X are big names. They fought for Black Americans in the old days. We need the same revolution in our own ways. Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Mr. Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre and Eddie Murphy. American prosperity ain't complete with African poverty. It's legendary Idris Abdul Karim, and you are on to SOUQ News. You don't touch that dial.
Welcome back. So I'm still here with Charles Frakora, and we're still talking about how we can adequately fund our discos to generate more electricity, and they don't need to be sticking to the government, what the government has for them. They can actually be self-funded, so that going in future, we don't have to be hearing stories of, oh, we can't provide new meters to our customers, or we can't provide new transformers to communities that need these facilities every now and then. So going further, yes, we actually talked about how discos people need to actually understand what's going on with them genuinely, in all sincerity. So now, how can electricity discos in Nigeria achieve financial sustainability and reduce reliance on government subsidies?
It's a tough one for them. Yes. And because power is critical in any economic development, I share the pains of this discourse now. Yes, again, it is not just a one method approach, when you are looking at how this discourse can become sustainable in terms of their operations. They cannot continue on this government subsidy. It's no longer possible. But if you look at it this way, that means the burden will push to the consumers, to the average consumer. But again, you look at it in terms of even responsibility. From your reports, we're told that some government agencies are not even paying. Yes. So if these discos are distributing this electricity, some customers are consuming, and at the end of the day, they are not paying for it. How do you expect these discos to be sustainable? It's not possible. It's not possible. Now, but at the same time, for these discos to be sustainable financially, it is not a one-day affair, and you're not going to say, government, just pull out. There's going to be a lot of problem. So it has to be a systematic withdrawal of government. That is, the subsidy should be withdrawn gradually, so that the consumers will not even feel it. Yes. Okay? And this can be done by the review of the electricity tariff that will pay, so that it can become cost reflective. Because, I mean, if you are a business person and these are the amounts, your cost of production, yes, you want to recoup and add, say, Nigerians should be willing to pay for this electricity if it is available. And they see it, they don't even need to own their generators.
Yes, that's very
true. So
the
money spent on fueling their generator, they will use it to pay for electricity.
Yes.
And that will go a lot, because whether we like it or not, the power being generated by the by the Gencos and being supplied to us through transmission and distribution is more reliable compared to other sources. However, it has to be a transition plan.
Okay.
For government to now gradually pull off from subsidizing. The first thing they need to do is to adequate protection.
Adequate protection for the consumers?
For the customers who are able to pay.
Okay.
And also unwilling. There are some customers, they are unable to pay, but they are willing to pay. If you tell me this is what I have consumed, and I can see it from my meter, then once the electricity I bought has finished, I know that this is what I've consumed. But when I don't have meter, I will always want to argue. Yes. So metering is key. And over time, federal government has intervened in metering projects. I will tell you a short story. Now, in some places, they gave them these meters free. Oh. They installed it, yes. Okay. Specifically, 31 Road in Festa. Okay. These meters were given to us free. We just asked to buy 1 or 2 wires for the connection and all that. And today, everybody in that road has prepaid meter. Now, we also heard of cases where they're telling you, come and bring 81,000. go to this place, go to that place. So again, that policy of metering has to be clearly stated. Yes. Are the consumers going to pay for it, or the discos are going to give to them free? That has to be stated clearly, so that you will see more customers willing to have that meter, and because it's card. So if your card has finished, you will not see the electricity. That will make you to go and recharge, as the case may be. So for me, that will also go a long way in these discos actually collecting the electricity they have distributed to their customers. Then purposeful upgrading and extension of electricity infrastructure across transmission and distribution line. Okay. We need to upgrade their equipment, whether it is on the side of the GENCOs or the side of the transmission, then of course the distribution company. Now, for generation, I don't think we have a problem. Transcorp Power is there. Geregu is there. These are already quoted companies. So coming to your question now, if we have the GENCOs already listed on the NGS platform, there is nothing stopping distribution companies to be listed. Okay. I don't want to criticize the privatization problem or the privatization that was done. Yes. You know, maybe in 2013, 14 years
around that time.
Around that time. Because if government is saying, okay, we don't want to be involved again, we are giving it to co-investors, they should have the technical competence and also the funding to run these companies. But now we are saying that even after privatizing, government is still subsidizing this electricity. So that was a little bit of issues there and there. So now we have seen GENCOs coming to the market.
Yes.
For distributing companies now, discos, they can also come to the markets and let them float their shares. Okay. Let Nigerians buy their shares, because we believe that in the capital market, there is full disclosure. And they will give updates, periodic update, maybe quarterly, half-yearly, and of course yearly, on their activities, their numbers. Because we will have people who will scrutinize their numbers. And for me, that might improve their performance and also funding. Yes. But what you expect is, as an investor, imagine you have invested in one of the discos. Yes. At the end of the year, you are asking them for your return, for your dividend. So maybe in terms of efficiency, they will also improve. However, tariff will definitely go up. What Nigerians will pay will definitely go up.
But the most important thing is that we are seeing this electricity supply, even if the tariffs go up. That's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing.
Yes. Okay, just before you continue, there's something I want to take you back on. I'm sure you've noticed that for some companies, whether manufacturing industries or even schools, hospitals, hotels, even media organizations like us here in SOUQ News Television, there's been the issue of bogus bills. Every now and then you could see the distribution companies, because maybe they don't have a functioning meter in this organization or whichever company it is, they could just look at them and say, oh, let's give them this huge amount of money. And then you're wondering what equipment you have here, what kind of business you're doing to require
how much
bills.
Electricity have you consumed?
Yes, I also wondering, like, you know fully well that every day you power your generator for your company. So how is this distribution company coming up with this amount for light bills? Like, how did they, because, so based on what you're saying, is it justified for them to be giving companies, particularly manufacturing industries,
crazy bills?
Crazy bills, like they popularly call it, actually. Is it right for them, all because they want to generate funds for themselves? Or what
yes, I think, like I said earlier, the issue is for us to achieve sustainable electricity supply, and of course, sustainable operations of these discos. Then metering is key. Because metering is key. You must give every consumer, you must have a target that in the next 5 years, we are going to meter virtually 80% of electricity consumer. That is the only way, because whether you like it or not, if I stay in a 2-bedroom flat or 3-bedroom flat, and you come at the end of the month, you are giving me 50,000 naira, 100,000 as my bill, which is crazy bill, I will not pay. Yes. But if it is the meter, if you have given me the meter, or I have paid for the meter in some cases, I know that it is what I am consuming I am going to be paying.
Yes, that's
and once I see that, because there is a way they will teach you how to check it.
Yes.
And what your card is reading, maybe 10, it started giving you signal.
Yes,
you will quickly
reload.
In fact, there is even online recharge.
Yes, there's so many
you just,
online
you just
nowadays.
press the number, just as you recharge your phone.
Yes.
You just recharge and you will see your new electricity that you have bought.
That's
so
very true.
that is the only way these discos can survive. However, once they are done, they will still, because there is even a provision in the Electricity Act, even from the Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission, where they review tariff.
Okay.
I don't know whether it is going to be yearly now, but I think I will propose they review this tariff on a yearly basis. Not reviewing tariff on a monthly basis, because at times they just arbitrary, and that is where the Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission comes in to see that customers are treated fairly, consumers are treated fairly, and they pay for what they are actually consuming. Another point I want to make again is creating a competitive retail electricity. You know, look at the telecoms. If you are not satisfied with a particular telecom operator, you switch.
Yes.
Before they told us it's not possible. Is that not so?
Yes. When
better you can port.
Exactly.
You can port still retaining your old numbers.
Yes.
So they should also improve that technology, that if I am not satisfied with Eco distribution, I can go switch to Ikeja. But the issue they are telling us, because of the wiring, because of the poles, because of the transformer and all that, we should go beyond that to say that if I am not satisfied with this utility company, I should be able to switch to another company where I think I will get a better service. So I think with all these, and they also, in terms of corporate governance, who are the owners of these discos? There must be people with competence, people that have the finances. Because you can't just come to the market and we are not, because we are going to ask you your financials for the last 5 years. What have you been doing? How profitable is this business? And I tell you, Nigerians will support these discos that will come to. Let's take even the Genco. When Transcorp Power came in, when that same day, it gained 10% maximum. And investors are waiting for their returns. Okay. And Transcorp, I'm not advertising for them. Transcorp were able to tell us that, look, we generate enough. We even export, but I quarrel with them because we don't have enough here and you are still exporting. Yes. But they told us that that export they're exporting is for them to earn dollars, so that to kind of net off their exposure to Forex. Fine, that is good, but we need to ensure that what we generate here gets to the discos and, of course, to the final consumer. Okay. So, yes, all these measures will not take place overnight. There must be a transition. Because if the company is just saying we just want to pull off, there's going to be issues. Yes. So I will encourage them to put their papers together, appoint their consultants, and let them see how they can come to the market and then list.
Okay, thank you for going in depth into this explanation for us, Charles. So, okay, I want to ask you now, what measures can improve the investment climate to attract private sector funding into the power sector in Nigeria?
One, transparency.
Yes, that's very true.
Thank God the Electricity Act of 2023 has been, I think, reviewed. Yes. Where even, is there, the law is there, enabling law now that private investors can now even go into generation. Yes. So as an individual, you can generate your own electricity. And of course, they're even saying renewable. We can go into renewable generation of power. So because you need this energy mix. And we have the resources available. We're talking of hydro. We have enough water. Yes. Wind, we have enough wind. Solar, we have enough solar. So that energy portfolio, that mix, will make us have energy sufficiency. So for private individuals to come into this sector, there is a lot of opportunities. But the opportunities have to be made known to the investors. They need to see that, yes, if I invest in this distribution company or in the power sector, this is the kind of return we are likely to get. Because we need power. The 12,000 or the 12,500 megawatts, the installed capacity of all the Gencos put together, I think we can still go beyond that because we need sustainable power. No nation will grow because we're talking of growing our economy, improving our industrial sector, manufacturing without power. We need to increase our power generation. But one thing we're also looking at, and I'm asking the government, we are saying the value chain you generate. Generation, they give it to transmission. That transmission company of Nigeria is still government owned.
Yes.
So we are saying, is it possible for government to gradually begin to ease out from the transmission company and allow private individuals to also have some shares there? Maybe that will make it more efficient and purposeful, because we've been told that
government has no business in business. It will be like a public-private partnership in that kind of situation.
Exactly. Then proper regulation. And of course, that is where the National Electricity Regulatory Commission comes in. But we also have the electricity bulk purchase, the ones that take the energy, the power, and send to transmission. All this value chain should be explained properly to will-be investors. In fact, they should do an investors, what we call a conference call, where these operators explain this value chain to will-be investors. Not only foreign local investors, but foreign investors, because the power sector in Nigeria has a lot of potential. Nigerians need this power. And if we have this power, you know, sent to our homes, and we don't need to spend money on fuel, our own generator, then of course, the average barber salon will not mind to spend so much on electricity, as long as there's electricity in his salon. But recently, I don't know how it was done. They say somewhere in Aba, that is in the east, they were having Abia State. So maybe that model that was used there, but again,
well, in
what really happened in that
it hasn't
Aba?
been. Some places have been able to generate 24 hours power supply in some parts of Abia State, but some communities are still complaining that they are not fully connected to this new power system, to the new electricity system, by having continuous light supply. So, but it's privately owned. It was an initiative in partnership with some foreign investors by the Abia State government, and everybody has congratulated him for this. As you know, during the events, the vice president commissioned the power plant also. So it's a very good initiative, but there have been issues with the whole state not being fully covered by this new power plant, actually. But those who are under this new power plant, yes, they have also said they've been getting 24 hours light supply. Yes.
Okay, you can see that is Abia State.
Yes.
That is Aba. That means it's possible.
Yes, it is. Yes.
It is possible. So, is it an issue of funding? Where did this funding come from? So you can see that once the will is there, then the way will be found out. So I will encourage the Minister of Power. I have been one of his highest critics, because at the point I felt he was a banker and he knows nothing about electricity generation and all that. But I see that you don't even need to be an engineer or a technical person. It's just a matter of showing that leadership.
Yes.
The Abia State governor, as we know him, is a banker.
Yes, a former banker.
A former banker, so he's not a technical person to understand, but he provided that leadership, and we are seeing that. So we want to see state governments to replicate what he has done, and of course the government is also trying, putting all the enabling laws in place, so that investors will now come in and invest in our power sector, and we will see an improvement in the power supply. And I guarantee you, once the power supply increases, Nigerians, Lagosians, let me localize it. Lagosians are seeing the power. We are using it. I'm telling you, we want to pay more than what we are paying now. Because then I'm not thinking of how am I going to buy fuel for generator. People go to filling station now, they carry jerrycan. They want to fuel their car, they want to put in generator, and take home and all that. Of course, that kind of even storing highly volatile liquid is not even advisable. So let the government create a stable environment. Investors will come and we'll see an improvement in the power generation. However, lastly, the human factor is there. I have mentioned corruption. If corruption is still there in the power sector, then we will not go anywhere. So I want to advise all the operators, let us come out open and clean. Because if you are coming to list at the NGX, one of your requirements is full disclosure. Yes. And if you don't meet those listing requirements, you will not be admitted to be listed on the board that you are coming, whether it is going to be the main board or the premium board, you will not be. So, for us now, the capital market has a major role to play to ensure that Nigerians have stable electricity. If the distribution companies will come willingly on their own to list their shares.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Charles Fakura. Yes, that was quite insightful, actually. You really explained this very well to us. And the fact that there is hope for funding for electricity distribution companies in the capital market, that's really good, actually. Like you rightfully said, full disclosure when they get there. Okay, yes, I'm sure you've also noticed that every now and then we hear stories of the national grid has collapsed, and then, yes, the Minister of Power announces it, and then everybody is like, again, it's been happening so often these days. So now, how can investments in transmission infrastructure address power losses and improve efficiency in Nigeria? Yes, I'm directed to the Nigerian situation.
Yes, you see, when Transcorp came, they opened their eyes to so many things.
Yes.
And they said, when you have that kind of power grid, there is a kind of mechanism they use. They increase their generation, and before you knew what, the grid is up again. But most of us were not even aware of that it is some of these gencos that are helping us, you know. Now, for the grid itself collapsing, for me, some persons have said probably it's out of sabotage. But they I'm asking, because for me, I also look at the professionals. Who are the engineers that were there? What are they expected to do? Because it will not just collapse, it will show you sign. And what are those people monitoring that grid? So if they are seeing certain things in terms of technicalities, then of course, they should know the little things to do to upgrade it.
So you're saying it's a human factor that is causing this
Human
issue?
factor is there, and of course, maybe equipment, you have mentioned now, equipment, like I said, for the transmission company of Nigeria, if their equipment are obsolete, then let us go and procure the up-to-date, relevant equipment. And let government spend the money. If you have spent 6 trillion in 10 years, 6 trillion in 10 years, 6 trillion naira in 10 years. Of money. And this is what we are getting. Then, is it not okay? What are the equipment that needs to be changed? What is the cost? Procurement, go and procure those equipment, bring them, install them. Anybody is meant to train Nigerians, engineers. But I believe we have talented engineers in the country. Yes. So the issue of human resources is not the problem, just to provide leadership. If they are well trained, then of course, the issues with the transmission, and they say the GENCO generate transmission, there is issue, power get lost along the way, and we are not able to take all that was from transmission coming to distribution. Then if it's an issue of equipment, let we upgrade this equipment and be focused. So the Minister of Power now should not be lamenting. It should be up and doing. If it is training, let our engineers be trained. If it's equipment that needs to be changed, let its equipment be changed. And of course, for National Assembly members, I'm sure there should be a committee overseeing the Ministry of Power. Yes. They should intensify their oversight function, because for any project to succeed, we need all hands to be on deck. We are all partners in progress. The minister should not be the only one shouting. The committee in the House of Assembly and the House of Representatives and of course the Senate should support the minister, so that by the time that changes need to be done, then they will understand. Like for me, I used to say, I wish for the subsidy again in electricity. We're already talking about subsidy in PMS. Well, yeah. Now you're saying government want to remove subsidy in electricity. For me, it's double wahala for dead body. So, but with this basic understanding of how the power is being generated, transmitted, distributed, and of course get to the final consumer, that value chain is properly understood, then we begin to appreciate the issues in our power sector. Then of course, for that of the collapse national grid, I think if it's an engineering issue, that should also be addressed. And let's put proper people who have the competencies to be in those technical areas. And if it's an issue of capacity, then we can train them. Of course, we've even had international organizations saying they are ready to help. Siemens, I think maybe General Electricity.
Yes, General Electricity offered to help.
Offer to help. So
yes.
we can get all the expertise we need, pay for it, and see that at the end of the day, we are seeing a reflection of what we have done. And of course, as consumers of electricity, we are ready to pay more than what we are paying as long as it's available.
Thank you so much, Charles Fakara, for that, for really going in depth as to how funding and sustaining our power distribution companies in Nigeria can be adequately achieved, and also by listing them on the Nigerian capital market. So thank you so much for joining me in this discussion this morning. So let's take a look at our money figures this morning. The exchange rate, how is the Naira selling against the dollar, the Naira against the pound sterling and the euro? So how is it faring today, Thursday, 21st March? So let's look at the figures. So, well, surprisingly, this is quite a big, there's a new change actually, which is a very good change, if I may also add. So today, Thursday, 21st March, so the dollar is selling at the official CBN rate at 1,250 Naira. That's the CBN rate, and in the parallel market rate is selling for 1,520 Naira. That's a difference of 270 Naira. You know, on other days we've had this difference is quite high actually. So what do you think about this, Charles? I mean, with the dollar rate today selling at 1,250 Naira at the official CBN rate, and in the parallel market for 1,520 Naira. So it's a difference of 270 Naira. So what do you have to say?
Well, you just call it black market or parallel market.
Black market.
But you can see that the Naira has really appreciated.
Yes.
You know, we're talking of almost 2,000 Naira before. You know, it got to a point about 1,006 and it's stable. And for now, we are saying it's at the official rate now, 1,200.
Yes, 1,250.
250.
Yes.
Okay. So for me, that is a very welcome development. And it goes to show that some of the measures put in place by CBN started getting effect, and their tight grip on the banks.
Yeah, so we can only hope for the best anyway.
Exactly.
So, and the pound sterling, just sorry to cut you there, the pound sterling at the official CBN rate is selling for 1,259 Naira, and in the parallel market, the unofficial rate is selling for 2,020 Naira. So there's a difference of 761 Naira with the pound sterling, which is quite high, but other days we've seen higher figures at the parallel markets. So, but today it's a difference of 761 Naira because the official rate, selling rates for the pound sterling at CBN is 1,259 Naira, and in the parallel market, the unofficial rate is 2,020 Naira. So it's, yeah, the pound sterling is always the highest figure actually.
Yes,
the highest
again,
currency.
When you talk of Forex, that is how one currency is priced in relation to another currency. It can be direct quote, it can be indirect quote. But again, looking at those, I don't want to use the word black market,
parallel markets, yes.
Again, I will throw the issue back to Central Bank of Nigeria. You need to regulate the BDCs very well, because the issue of where our nation's national currency is being traded on the streets of Apapa, Ikeja,
we've experienced this.
You know, and all that.
Yes.
There should be proper regulation.
That's what CBN is trying to achieve.
And we can see what they are doing now.
And they are actually working towards this. Yes,
so I think they should continue with that. And of course, I also want to talk to the average Nigerian too. Most people want to patronize the parallel market.
Well, we can't help that. We can't help that at all. Yes, we can't help that. Okay, and the euro is selling for 1,700 Naira at the official CBN rate, and in the parallel market is selling for 1,700 Naira also. So both the CBN rate and the parallel market rate is the same thing for the euro, 1,700 and 1,700.
So how is that possible?
Well, it's surprising.
Equal by a willing buyer, willing seller.
Yes,
so
yes.
let the market forces determine the price of one. But at the same time, no currency in the world that it will be allowed freely. From time to time, the central bank will come in and intervene. And that's what CBN will. And you know, thank God, because he said there were backlog of Forex obligation before.
Yes.
The CBN has been able to take care of all that. So that is why we are seeing the Naira now appreciating to other currencies.
Yes. Thank you
However,
so much, Mr.
the last word, we should increase our production and export. Then we'll see.
That's what we're actually working on in the country.
Exactly.
Okay, so that was our time this morning on Market Insights, as I discussed with Charles Fakara about how to sustainably power our distribution, funding and sustainability for our electricity distribution companies in Nigeria. And he also said that investing or being listed on the stock markets, Nigeria's capital market, is the way forward for them, so that they don't have to completely, yes, we know they rely on government to help us with electricity, but it doesn't have to be an over-reliance on government all the time. So thank you so much, Charles Fakora, for joining me this morning on Markets Insight as we discuss these issues and also our foreign exchange rates with you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
So I am your host, Lavina Emma. So stay tuned to the next program on SOUQ News.